What's going on, guys? Going to do a quick update for the market. We're going to talk about SoFi and also CCCX. Today was FOMC. Market pretty much just chopped around. Tomorrow we have initial jobless claims, which will also move the market. And we have Apple earnings tomorrow. Today we saw Tesla kind of pop a little bit on earnings. Microsoft went down and Meta flew. Those were pretty much the big earnings reported today. As you can see, Meta is up $50+ after hours, so hopefully some people got into Meta calls. I have no position in Meta, but I do know that the flow was very bullish. You could see 9.6 million to the call side, so people always tend to know the earnings results and reaction ahead of time. So just always keep an eye out on this flow, and I do tend to post that in this unusual flow section. As I did today, you could see when they were kind of buying the dip and when they were shorting. So another heads up, I am doing this 1K small account challenge. We're about 4 plays in now. Started with $1,000, and I usually will just post the unusual flow and then wait for an entry. And so sometimes we miss the entries because you really do want to get that perfect sniper entry. Sometimes you even get wick filled, and that's how you get those fast gains. But we are 4 plays in, and the account has now grown to 1438. And so we are aiming to get to 2,000 and then pull out our initial investment and then just have fun with the profits made. So keep an eye out for that if you are in the Discord. All right, let's get into SoFi's chart, CCX chart, and the flow, as well as some Twitter news. All right, we're just going to start with the charts. So for SoFi, this is one I've been very patient on, and we have actually just broken previous month low. And so now this thing is below $25, heading into the buy zone. However, we do have earnings Friday, and we are expecting about a 7% move for SoFi. Now, SoFi usually crushes earnings and they do great. It just depends on their forward guidance and how the market reacts, like if this is priced in. So basically, if the market is disappointed in the earnings and it drops 7%, that would put us around 2280, which I believe this low area of 21 to 22 would be a great buy zone. And then if they do good on earnings, you'll probably just see a retest of previous month POC around $27, and then the market could carry that even higher. But I'm really not too worried about SoFi's earnings. I actually would enjoy if this continues to dip ahead of that S&P 500 inclusion, which would most likely take place in March and really be what sets SoFi off. So that is what we have on SoFi at the moment. I did sell some 23 puts, and we'll see, if those get assigned this Friday or not. But I think that's a great way to play earnings. I have been very, very patient on SoFi and really wanting to buy it down here. So I'd be happy to get assigned at 23. For the flow on SoFi, it's pretty mixed at the moment. You see 744K to the call side and 471K to the put side. If we check the historical flow just for this week of earnings, we can see what people are planning to do with SoFi. Let's see. So just the last 3 days, it looks like you do have, again, more to the call side, but still a lot of put flow. So that is pretty much where SoFi is heading right now. And then I will also monitor this tomorrow and see where we're at the close, because I do believe SoFi reports Friday morning, which I believe might be the first time they reported on a Friday. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see how earnings does. And then just the quick Twitter news. I have mentioned this before in my last video, I believe, but institutional ownership does continue to go up. And then what we're looking for in earnings, according to Investing with Charlie, you want to see revenue growth. You want to see strong 30% year-over-year revenue increase. SoFi usually crushes earnings and crushes all their numbers anyway. You want to see updates on their cash flow. And then SoFi does do share dilution, as we know, even recently. So we'll listen for any guidance on future equity raising or dilution plans. But I'd be surprised if they did that again, given that they just did some share dilution. So that's what we have. for Friday. And then as far as CCCX, this is another one I am still waiting to get into. It is looking a little bit bearish on the chart right now. And quantum in general, the charts do not look great. So, RGTI selling off, IonQ. So I would like to see this continue to break below and even come test this previous month value area low or POC, and then maybe scale in here. Again, I've mentioned this before. If we go to previous month low or this 12 to 13 range, I will start to add. It is said that the merger deal should close in February. Now, the reaction off the closed deal, I'm not sure what's going to happen, but I do think the risk reward for just shares long term is there. I do believe that Inflection will be a good company. It could take some years to actually see this pay off. We saw Palantir, hype up and go to around $30 to $40 and then sell all the way back down to $6. A lot of people lost hope in the company and even sold or just didn't buy under $10. And then you see where Palantir is, 5 years later. So this could be another story like that. It could be the leader in quantum and in the future, but it might go through some turbulence. So that's why I think just being patient and buying in these lower areas, even if it were to come back down to $10 or under 10, as long as you're not buying above, at the all-time highs, then I wouldn't feel too bad about owning in this area. And then, yeah, it does sound like the merger completion date will be around February 17th. I'm sure that's subject to change, but right now that's what we have. And then I thought this post was great. You can see the average daily volume right now. So Inflection or CCCX has not had that much volume recently, but I thought this guy had a great write-up. So at around 4 billion pro forma market cap, it's trading at a significant discount compared to RGTI and QBTS. And we've talked about, how these companies, if you look at their headquarters, it just kind of screams like fraudster. They don't really have any real product or revenue, where Inflection actually does. And then this guy says once this actually becomes Inflection, he expects volume to pick up and people to start piling in and actually understanding what Inflection is. And then he says it's the triple threat company, neutral atoms, quantum computing, atomic clocks, quantum sensing, flying completely under the radar. They do already work with NVIDIA, and I'm sure they have other partnerships going. But one thing to note is that lockup pipe investor fund is only locked up for 6 months after the ticker changes. So you could see a lot of volatility and you could see selling in the future. So something to keep in mind if you were to get in at a good price. And if it does pop and go crazy, profit taking is not a bad idea. And then you could always get back in, if it were to sell off. So just something to think about. But that's pretty much what I have for today. These two stocks I'm watching. Please like and subscribe and have a good one.